look at the isolated British Isles. By the early 20th century, this island nation expanded to cover a quarter of the Earth's surface. Spanning multiple time zones, daylight always touched British soil, creating the famous phrase, "The sun never sets on the British Empire." To understand how they achieved this scale, we have to look back to the 16th century. England wasn't a global superpower. It was a vulnerable, highly localized kingdom, entirely focused on fending off immediate threats and securing its own borders. That local drive to expand outward eventually created a massive global footprint. This extreme geographical scale became the source of Britain's immense global authority, but it also functioned as the exact mechanism that guaranteed its eventual collapse. Before England could look overseas, it had to secure its home base. During the reign of Henry VIII, England formally absorbed neighboring Wales, bringing it under strict English control to fortify the kingdom's western flank. Then, in 1707, they executed a major geopolitical maneuver. England and Scotland agreed to an official political union. This specific treaty forged a new sovereign state, the Kingdom of Great Britain. By uniting the island under one crown and parliament, they neutralized their primary internal threats and effectively doubled their domestic strength. You cannot project power across oceans if you are fighting civil wars at home. Consolidating a unified, highly stable domestic core was the absolute logistical prerequisite for the global expansion that followed. What truly allowed this small island to punch above its geographic weight was a massive mechanical multiplier, the Industrial Revolution. Instead of relying on slow, manual labor, the British economy aggressively transitioned to rapid, mechanized factory production. Machines vastly outpaced human hands, and new steam railways transformed how quickly goods and materials could move. This technological dominance turned Britain into the wealthiest and most advanced nation on Earth, providing the massive surplus of capital required to fund aggressive overseas expansion. This 1901 map illustrates the result. The sweeping red areas show the vast historical extent of the territories absorbed into the empire, stretching across North America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania, notably including massive landmasses like India, Canada, and Australia. The daily reality of this colonial system relied heavily on strict hierarchical control. British administrators asserted authority over local populations, prioritizing the extraction of natural resources to feed the industrial engine back home. Industrial innovation gave Britain immense riches, but more importantly, it weaponized their economy. It provided the exact financial and military leverage they needed to stretch their borders thousands of miles beyond their natural limits. That extreme leverage held up until the 20th century, when the two world wars subjected this sprawling system to its ultimate stress test. The conflicts brought severe infrastructural devastation directly to the domestic core. The British homeland absorbed massive physical destruction, and the sheer cost of fighting bankrupted the national economy. As the economy collapsed in London, the logistical burden of supplying and defending a global military footprint became physically impossible to maintain. Lacking the funds and manpower to project force, the overextended empire could no longer afford to suppress the growing independence movements across its territories, triggering a massive wave of decolonization. The definitive fracture point arrived in 1947 with the independence of India. The sheer scale and overwhelming localized momentum of the movement proved that British forces were stretched entirely too thin to hold the line, accelerating the rapid unwinding of the empire. The World Wars exposed a harsh logistical reality. When a severe crisis drains a nation's resources, extreme geographical scale instantly stops being an asset and becomes a heavy, unmanageable liability. Today, that sprawling network of global territories has entirely disappeared. Geographically, the nation has contracted back to the British Isles, operating today as the United Kingdom, made up exclusively of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It now functions as a stable constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary democracy that is far removed from the autocracy of its historical imperial rule. Overextension is a flaw built into the mathematics of all empires. A nation can use unity and technological innovation to build a behemoth, but the devastating logistical costs of a severe crisis will always force it back to its original foundations.